I'm going to show you exactly how a car payment quietly steals $80,000 from your life. And no, I'm not talking about the price of the car. Now let me show you how it actually happens. Picture this, you're sitting in a dealership, the fluorescent lights are humming, there's that smell, leather, coffee, something synthetic. The salesperson slides a sheet of paper across the desk and on it one number, $560 a month, and honestly, it feels fine. That's less than your rent, less than some people's grocery bills. You do the quick math in your head, you nod, and you think, I can handle that. So you sign. What happens next over the following 40 years is the thing nobody in that dealership will ever tell you. I'm going to walk you through it today. And I promise you, by the end of this video, the way you look at a monthly car payment will never be the same.
Here's where most people, including really smart people, get this completely wrong. When you're deciding whether to finance a car, the question you're asking yourself is, can I afford this monthly payment? That is the wrong question, completely wrong. And the car industry has spent decades, billions of dollars in marketing research, making sure you never stop to ask the right one. I'll show you the right question in a second. But first, this part matters because if you skip it, the rest of the video won't land the way it should. Think about how car shopping actually works. You walk into a dealership, and within about 10 minutes, the conversation has quietly shifted. It stopped being about how much does this car cost and became what's your monthly budget. That shift is not accidental. When your brain sees a total price, $35,000, $45,000, it feels heavy. It feels real. But $560 a month? That feels like a phone bill. It feels like nothing. It fits in a spreadsheet next to your rent and your groceries, and it just sits there quietly. That feeling of it being manageable, that's the trap. That's the whole trap right there. And here's what separates the people who eventually build real wealth from the ones who don't. It's not income. It's not luck. It's this one thing, and I'll get to it in a minute. This is the part most financial videos skip entirely. They show you the interest on the loan. They say, you'll pay an extra $6,000 in interest, and they act like that's the scandal. It's not. $6,000 in interest is basically nothing compared to what I'm about to show you. Here's the real number, and stay with me, because this requires you to zoom out. The average American finances a car roughly every 5 years for most of their adult working life. New car, new loan, repeat. It's just what people do. It's normal. Nobody questions it. Now imagine you took the payment from your very first car loan, let's call it $560 a month, and after you paid it off, instead of immediately financing another vehicle, you invested that $560 every single month into a basic index fund. Nothing fancy, just a broad market fund returning the historical average of about 8% a year. In 10 years, that $560 a month becomes roughly $103,000. In 20 years, you're looking at $330,000. In 30 years, from one car payment redirected, you're approaching $850,000. That's $850,000 from one decision made once. Most people will never know that number existed. That, right there, is the difference. It's not that wealthy people earn dramatically more. It's that they see monthly payments differently. They see every recurring obligation as an opportunity cost, as a trade-off between now and later. And once you see it that way, you genuinely can't unsee it. But let's be precise about the math, because I want you to walk away from this with actual numbers, not just a feeling. Let's say you finance a $35,000 car, which is actually below the current average, by the way. The average new car transaction in the US right now is hovering around $47,000. But we'll use $35,000 to be conservative. 5-year loan, 7% interest. That puts your monthly payment at around $693. Over 60 months, you pay back approximately $41,600 total. The interest on that one loan is roughly $6,600. Okay, 600 in interest. That stings a little, but it's manageable, right? Here's where it stops being manageable. The average person does this not once, but 6 to 8 times over their working life. New car every 5 years, new loan, new interest, repeat. When you add up the interest across those loans alone, you're somewhere between $45,000 and $55,000 in pure interest payments. Money you paid for the privilege of borrowing. Gone. But wait, and this is critical. We haven't even talked about the part that costs more than the interest. If you walk away from this video only thinking about interest, you've missed the bigger number. Here's what nobody calculates. Depreciation. A brand new car loses roughly 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Within 5 years, many vehicles have lost 40 to 60% of their original price. So think about what's actually happening. You are paying interest, extra money on top of the purchase price, on an asset that is simultaneously, every single month, losing value. You are paying more for something that is worth less, on credit. That is the opposite of how wealth is built, completely backwards. And then there's the insurance layer. The moment you finance a car, your lender legally requires you to carry comprehensive and collision coverage. That's significantly more expensive than basic liability. So your true monthly cost of ownership goes even higher than the payment you signed for. When you add it all up, the interest, the depreciation, the higher insurance, and the opportunity cost of what that monthly cash could have been building, the full lifetime price tag of being a perpetual car payment person can genuinely reach $80,000 to $100,000 in lost wealth. $80,000 to $100,000. Not in one dramatic moment, quietly, slowly, in $560 increments, every month for decades. That's the number I was holding back. That's the part bigger than the interest.
Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now, and I want to address it directly because this is where most videos lose people. You're thinking, okay, but I still need a car. Life is expensive. Not everyone can just save up $35,000 cash and walk into a dealership. You're completely right. That's a real constraint, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But here's the thing most people assume, and it sounds obvious, but it's wrong. The choice is not finance a nice car or drive something embarrassing. There is a third option, and almost nobody seriously considers it. A 3- or 4-year-old car with moderate mileage, one that someone else took the depreciation hit on, can give you 95% of the driving experience of a new car for literally half the cost, sometimes less. The reliability gap between a new car and a well-maintained 3-year-old car is, for most people in most situations, almost zero. The only real difference is the feeling of newness, and that feeling lasts about 3 weeks. There's also something that happens psychologically when you don't have a car payment. I've heard people describe it as feeling lighter, like you're not carrying something invisible, because you're not locked in. You're not committed to this obligation that follows you around for 5 or 6 years, that forces you to keep earning at least this amount just to stay even. That freedom has a dollar value. Nobody ever calculates it, but it's real. And here's the contradiction that flips this whole thing. The people who could most easily afford a car payment, financially comfortable, stable income, are often the ones who refuse to have one. Not because they're frugal in some punishing way, because they understand, viscerally, what that monthly number is costing them in the background. They've done the math. They've seen the $850,000, and they choose differently.
So what do you actually do with this? Let me be specific, because I have no interest in giving you advice that only works for people who already have money. If you're in a car loan right now, don't panic. The best immediate move is awareness. Pull up your loan details. Look at your remaining balance, your remaining interest, your payoff date. Then ask one question. Is there any way I can add even $50 or $100 extra to principal every month? Extra principal payments cut your interest and shorten your loan, sometimes significantly. Run the numbers on a loan payoff calculator. You might be surprised. And this next part, this is the one most people get wrong at exactly the wrong moment. When your car loan ends, the default move is to immediately finance something new. Because you can afford the payments now. Your budget already has that slot in it. It feels natural to just refill it. Resist that. Hard. That moment, the month after your loan is paid off, is one of the highest leverage financial moments in your life. Take that payment amount, even half of it. Start a car replacement fund. Put it somewhere boring and automatic. Even if you never fully get to a cash purchase, arriving at your next car with $8,000 or $12,000 saved means you're financing a fraction of what you would have, which means a smaller loan, less interest, lower required insurance, and a much shorter payoff timeline. If you're earlier in life and haven't bought your first car yet, the math is cleanest for you. Think hard about the gap between what you genuinely need and what feels aspirational. A $14,000 reliable used car that you pay off in 2 years puts you in a fundamentally different financial position 5 years from now than a $42,000 financed vehicle. Not because one is shameful and one isn't, but because one quietly frees up capital that starts working for you, and the other quietly bleeds it away. And one more thing, and this is the one I want you to sit with. Your car does not need to narrate your ambitions. There's enormous social pressure around vehicles, depending on where you live, what you do, who's in your circle. Cars are one of the most status-loaded purchases any of us make. I'm not going to pretend that pressure isn't real, because it is. But status has a price tag, and sometimes that price tag is the retirement you can't fully fund, or the cushion that isn't there when something goes sideways, or the feeling at 45 or 50 that you never quite got ahead no matter how hard you worked. Not because you didn't earn enough, because the money moved out quietly, every month, for years. You can have a car you're proud of. You absolutely can. But the version of you that gets there without perpetually refinancing your future is a more powerful version than the one with the premium payment. Earlier I told you that nobody in that dealership would tell you what happens over the next 40 years. Now you know. You didn't get here by being careless with money. Nobody sits across from a salesperson and thinks, I'm going to make a decision today that costs me $80,000 over my lifetime. You sat there and made the most reasonable decision in front of you with the information you had in that moment. That's what most of us do. That's what most of us were taught to do. But now you have more information, and information changes decisions. Not all at once. You don't need to overhaul your entire financial life this week. You don't need to sell your car tomorrow. You don't need to do anything dramatic. Progress is not about perfection. It never was. It's about one clearer decision made with a fuller picture at the right moment. Maybe that moment is the end of your next loan. Maybe it's the next time someone slides a sheet of paper across a desk toward you. Maybe it's just the next time you feel that pull toward a payment that feels manageable and something in the back of your mind says, wait, what is this actually costing me? That pause, that one question, that's worth more than any financial course, any budgeting app, any savings hack. You've already got it now. Drive safe. See you in the next one.